Yeah, well, as you can see, in the 2 days I've spent working on the spaceship in the last 5 months, I have managed to detail the nose fully now, which has been a good task. I can't actually get round the front fully because the thing is so large. I need the whole length of the shipyard to house it. You can see the torpedo tubes in there now. I still need to make some torpedoes for them. They'll have to be fabricated because there's just 4 of them, so it wasn't worth doing a resin build on them, so I'll just hand make those at some point. There's a join up here between the nose and the main section of the ship. So obviously we've got to consider transport here, so it actually does separate in the middle, and those little wire things, there's one in the middle of the frame there. These are sort of a C-shaped hook that just hooks the front of the nose on, so they pull out and then the whole nose comes off to make for easy transport. The gates are all missing from the central section of the ship because we had to get it back up here after our open day, and we're actually 4 flights of Victorian staircases up in our building, and that was interesting. Getting it down here after salute was okay. Getting it down from the office after salute was fine, but getting it back up here was a challenge. And me and Louis were carrying it, and the actual whole middle of the ship separates as designed. Louis had forgotten about that, not his fault, and the whole ship separated and all the doors fell out. Most of them did. Then we sort of panicked and turned it upside down, forgetting that all the condors were on ramps, and half the condors slipped out one side when we flipped it over, and there was us at the top of a staircase, at the top, out of the turn at the top of a flight of stairs with bits of spaceship all over the floor, and that wasn't fun. So I haven't actually replaced the doors yet because we're going to have to do the same thing. They're all actually taped in now, the dropship, so next time I have to flip it upside down, they won't all fall out, which is a good thing. So the back here, this is the back of the ship as it was for salute. Really, I haven't had a chance to do anything to it yet. So the main job, really, the only thing you've not seen is I've done a tiny amount of cladding on the mounts for the defense lasers. This all needs detailing around here, the same on the underside. I've got to do a neat join between the 2 sections because it can't be described as neat at the moment. So when it goes together, you won't see the join. We've also got to build a new base because the base at Salute was great and it looked awesome, but it was a little unstable, and this needs to go to a lot of shows reliably. So in the long term, we're going to use a straightforward wooden base like very large ship models tend to sit on. Little bit less exciting than the mirror finish one with the clear poles, but in the end I'd rather not watch my creation of sort of 600 hours plus fall to the ground at a show because it's so heavy that it'd smash itself to pieces. So there you go, really. It is now taking up basically the whole shipyard. You see the total chaos in here. I mean, it's much worse than it looks on video. Next door is just as bad because that's the painting room. So really, it's now time for me to get back onto it and finish the thing at last. Hey, this is first thing in the morning on day 33. As we can see now, I've cladded most of the top section on here. This was quite fiddly actually because of all the angles, and I have actually managed to keep the entire ship completely symmetrical right down to the individual tiles, so they do actually match up on both sides, which does require a little bit more work. Today, my first job today is to get these side sections here filled in. For those, we have these, which are another 4 escape pods, including one where I've made a plastic tube on the back to accommodate an actual whole one, because the escape pod for the spaceship has been our show-only model this year, and it would be nice if a couple of them were removable. So I've built both of those. They took ages actually. Any kind of fabrication always takes quite a long time, but they're done now, and it's a really nice neat fit for the escape pods to just slide in and out. So that'll work, which is good, and they're nice and easily accessible because they're going to be the ones on the end of the engine housing sections. The issue I'm coming up against at the moment, and it's going to become possibly a big problem, possibly not, is I'm running very low on tiles. Last time you saw this was really early on in the build, and it was full of tiles. Now it's looking a little bit sad. There aren't enormous numbers left, to be honest. I mean, I reckon there's probably enough. Just I've had to go through all my offcuts as well to pair up all my offcut sections, because usually you always get 2 of the same offcut because everything's symmetrical. So as much as I can, I'm going to be using those. As much as the whole tiles, I could easily get some more ordered in, but it's a pain for casting, and at the moment they're so busy on the resistance because the launch has been huge. No, I don't really want to drop any more work on them at the moment, because it's, ultimately, again, the spaceship is less important than the production models. So the reality of it is that I need to make do with what I have. So, yeah, I mean, at least for Spiel, the priority is to get all the top surfaces completely done. It might be that I run out of tiles before I do the underside, and we have to wait until all the resistance waves are out before I can reorder some more. So it might not be the end of the world if some of the underside isn't completely cladded. It's, it'll be fine. It will look so much better than it did at Salute anyway, at least. It already will at the state it's in now, so I better get back on with it, and I'll check in when I've completely finished the top half of the hull. And it's got to lunchtime on day 35. Now I've turned the ship upside down, and I've been working on the underside spine. That's needed cladding because the whole weight of this section of the ship actually rests on this section here, and it's a lot stronger when cladded. And also the fact that I'm adding all the panels is adding a lot of weight, so it's making that important. So I've done that on both sides. And you can see the albatross hangers there, but I'm not going to do anything else on those for now. I've cladded the sides here. We've got the escape pods section that's now in place down there. You can see those. I've also cladded the underside of the nose section down there. That's all completely done. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back up the right way, because my tile situation is running pretty slim. I now hardly have anything left. There is talk of there being a few more random tiles left over at casting, and if that's the case, then that might make things a bit easier for me. So I'm going to leave these 2 sections plain for now, turn it back up the right way, and then finish my work on the section there, and then start detailing the engine mounts. I've got another couple of escape pods built into the back there, and also the other job left to do before Spiel is to detail the vents, which are going to be partly a scratch build job because there are only 2 of them, so again it wasn't worth doing resin parts for that. So I'll be filling that in next. I'll check in when I've done some more. It's now lunchtime on day 38. I haven't checked in for a couple of days, but as you can see I've been pretty busy with cladding. That's pretty much all I've been doing really, is cladding all the remaining surfaces that still needed doing. But we actually managed to find another 50 6x5 tiles at casting, which was fantastic because it meant I could actually get the underside cladded, which I really didn't think I'd be able to do. Surface area isn't the same thing as difficult in terms of time with this. This actually didn't take all that long to do. The tail section to do these, this section here, and its cousin underneath here, these 2 took quite a while to get done because there's a lot of faceted surfaces and things, especially on the top side. So I had to spend a bit of time working on that. But now they're done, all that remains really is the intakes, which are all 4 of these intake panels that are completely undetailed. So I've got to do those. The albatrosses for the hangar bay, the 2 hangar bays hold 2 albatrosses each. But they won't be able to go in there till they're painted, so they won't be on for Spiel, and it's not something I need to worry about right now. There's some more detailing needed for the engine mounts for all the areas that aren't covered by engines. Whether I'll actually have time to do that or not for Spiel, I don't know. I'll just have to try my best. It won't matter too much if they're not done. The intakes are a lot more obvious. The next job for me as well is to get these in place, which are the mounts for the defense lasers to go on the underside. These are the standard retail parts that we use for the ODL kit. So I'll be using 2 of these on each side. I'll be redetailing them a little bit to make them fit in with the hull. I'm also going to magnetise them because the guns actually have to hang upside down on this part of the ship. So that's the next job. Not particularly difficult, but it still needs doing. Then, well, I've really got the rest of today, probably into the witching hour, to do a bit more work, and then some of tomorrow morning before we have to bring it back down the stairs into the van and off to Germany. So I'll check in at the end of that and let you know how I've done. We're now into day 39, which is the day we leave for Spiel. At the moment, I've now done the cladding around the intakes on the underside as well. That's all done. Finished all the underside off too. Top section here. Yeah, so that's gone pretty well actually. I now have, after, if you remember at the beginning, the enormous pile of tiles that I had for the ship. We're now actually down to 4 tiles. That's it, that's all that's left. They're going to be used for, there's a very small gap on the main hull just there. And they're going to be used there actually at Spiel on the stand. I'm just going to fill in that hole because I've got to have the 2 parts together for that, and to be honest, it's so huge now that it's quite hard to work with unless it's in situ, so I'm going to fill that in while I'm there. At the moment, Louis and Simon are loading up the van to go to Spiel, so now I've just got to cut those out. I'm going to put another board behind them so they're recessed, fill in the exposed foam core that's going to be resultant from that cut, and then those intakes will at least be relieved. They're going to be filled with a mesh, but I couldn't actually find a good enough mesh material before Spiel, so I'm not too worried about that. I can fill that in afterwards. So yeah, I've probably got another 2 hours left before it's fan loading time, and then I'll check in again once we're in Essen.